What's going on, guys? NealGuides here. Welcome back to another video. This is going to be the complete tactics for the 3-5-2, a defensive variation, an attacking variation, and an ultra attacking variation. Obviously tested post-patch as well on next generation and previous generation. If you haven't seen a 3-5-2 video, I suggest you go watch it. It's on my channel. The link will be down below in the description to explain to you how the 3-5-2 works, how all the players work. And I'll be honest, if you haven't played 3-5-2 before, you haven't played my one before, I'd honestly recommend you watch it immediately. That way you understand how it all works in game. But let's go through the tactics now. So we've got three different systems. We've got an attacking formation. Let's say, for example, if you're 1-0 down or 2-0 down in the 3-5-2. We got the more balanced formation, the one that you use the entirety of the game. This would be a formation if you're drawing, or let's say, for example, you're going into the game first. And then we have a more defensive approach, maybe want to close out the game. Now the question is, why do I not have an ultra defensive 3-5-2? Because 3-5-2 is not the best formation to defend with. You're better off with a 4-2-3-1. Two CDMs inside the midfield covering the central areas, packing out the midfield. That's how Mourinho does in real life, as opposed to using 3 formation. Plus, if your opponent overloads you, you might want a 4-2-3-1 layout as opposed to, for example, a defensive 5-3-1-1. But let's get straight into the video. So the first one is the new one. Now we have a defensive tactic. We've got balanced, 5 width, 4 depth, balanced, 6 should I say, and 4. Now this is important. There's no long ball on the defensive variation. Now why? Now you're going to be using hug the sidelines in all 3 of these formations. That's number 1. So hug the sidelines will always remain on. But the reason why we put long ball off is sometimes when you're winning, you don't want your players to be going forward too much. This is a formation. Let's say, for example, you're winning 1-0. And let's say you find that your opponent has now maybe got 2 strikers on stay forward. He's got his Lamb, he's got his Ram on stay forward. You want to be a tad bit more defensive, but you don't want to change your system. This is the formation for you to use. So you can see both the strikers on comeback and defense as opposed to one of them being on comeback and defense. We even have our cam on comeback and defense. In fact, both our CDMs are cut passing lane, stay back while taking cover center. Left mid and right mid are both comeback and defense, getting behind, stay on the edge of the box for a cross. Interceptions, we left this on default because you're changing this formation at this stage of the game. Sometimes it might be somewhat worth playing somewhat aggressive, I suppose, when you're winning. Not in terms of, for example, the players going out of position and attacking, but sometimes there's a good chance for you to win the ball. It might be worth trying to leap forward because you've got your other stability of everyone else can come back in defense. And this way, if you're in a game and let's say, for example, you're winning 1-0, you can change to this formation and you can close the game out with the 3-5-2. Now, bear in mind, when you defend, it'll kind of be like, it'll try to be like a 5-3-2 or 5-3-1-1 or 5-4-1. It won't really make sense when you play it the first couple of times. It depends on what plays out, because if this person's on stay forward, then for example, this striker won't come back on defense. So it just does really much just defend. You will be defending in somewhat of a 5-3-1-1 though. This way you're more reserved. We've also reduced the width just a little bit, and we've also reduced the depth. Now you can put this as 3 if you want to, but I think you're better off having a higher depth. That way your back 5 is a bit more forward. Offensive style again on balance, because long ball pushes players forward when you have the ball. When you're winning, you still want to be attacking. Don't forget, it's still an attacking formation, but this is one to close the game out. You don't want players to unnecessarily run forward. You don't want your central cam or your centre mid to run forward and leave a massive gap in behind. And of course, you've gone with 4 players in the box and everything on 1. And for the players in the box, you put stone edge of the box for both the cam and the 3. Well, left mid and right mid is the 3. The cam and the left mid and right mid. That way, when you do get in a cross situation, if your opponent is parking a bus, you can just pin him outside his box with that formation. Now, moving over to the default 3-5-2. This would be the formation where you use the 3-5-2 the entirety of the game. Now, this 3-5-2 was tested last year when last year adapted it for this year. Tested post-patch, next generation, and previous generation. Balanced 3-4 long ball 6-3. It's the exact same tactics as the video you saw before. So you're copying those tactics. It's exactly the same. Do not worry. There's no need for you to watch this. I suppose you can say watch the explanation. But if you haven't watched this before, I'll give you a brief instruction. Stay central, get in behind, come back on the fence. Stay central, balance, stay forward, and a cam on stay forward. So what happens when you're defending is that your back, or in this case, for example, your left mid and your right mid, they come back, and one of your strikers come back, and you make a 3 midfielder line. Now, why is that important? Well, that 3 midfielder line gives you stability, and that way also when Ronaldo goes forward, he has that counter-attacking presence, and it's really good for possession. That's how we've gone with those 3. Left mid and right mid, come back on the fence, get into the box for a cross. Conservative interceptions, get in behind for both. Come back on the fence, again, get in the box, conservative, and get it behind. We want these guys to be running forward, getting inside the box for crosses. When you get the ball on the opposite end, the other player on the other side will kind of run inside the box. That's the whole idea behind that. He'll run inside the box and get in. That's the idea. We want to come back in defense. Conservative, just to conserve the stamina in the game. And of course, come back in defense, so at least you make the back 5. Both the CDMs are on cut passing lane, stay back while attacking and cover center. Therefore, you can still be very attacking. You still attack in a 5 striker formation. The entirety of the game, you still attack in a 5 striker formation. You defend in a 5-3-1-1. It's the best balanced 3-5. So this will be to use, I would say 90% of the time you'll be using this formation. 90% of the time you'll be in the game. I think the 2-5-2 is a good combination of attacking and defending anyway. So you're completely fine with this 3-5-2. Now, we go over to the attacking 3-5-2. Pressure on every touch, not team press, because team press is too much stamina getting wasted, especially with a 3-5-2. You're better off using a 4-4-2 with constant pressure, in my opinion, as opposed to a 3-5-2, because people don't understand this. With a 3-5-2 is, if you're being very attacking, now in hindsight, looking back at this, you might think, oh, you know what, it makes sense. 3 players, everyone go forward, it's easier to press, but it's also inherently easier for your opponent to make a through ball down the wing because you only have 3 centre backs. So it's not best to use an all-out attack formation. But this is, let's say you're losing 1-0, 2-0. You don't want to go gung-ho. But let's say it's 60 minutes, 70 minutes. It's not do or die. So we have pressure on every touch. We want our team to press when there's a good chance of getting the ball. That way we conserve stamina and players don't lose too much stamina, but they don't go out of position too much. We have a higher width, of, well, there's a bit debatable. I put this on 7 because I prefer to be very, very wide apart there. Therefore, I'm able to press the ball much easier with pressure on every touch. If you're just going to use balance here, you can reduce this, leave this on default. Depth, we have gone with 6. Very high up the pitch. That way we can press the ball high up the pitch and win the ball back higher up the pitch. Long ball, we have kept it. We have gone with a width again of 5, and we have gone with players in the box and 7, so more players will be getting inside the box. Now this one is where things change. All 3 strikers, or let's say both strikers, stay central, stay forward. The cam, stay forward. This is important. When you defend, this guy's going to come back, this guy's going to come back. You're going to be defending in a 5, and you're going to be defending in a 2. But your diamond, your 3 is going to be staying forward. So do bear that in mind, okay? Stay forward on your cam, on your 2 strikers, and that way you have a 3v2. Don't forget, most players play a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1 or some variation of 2 defenders. You immediately got here a 3v2 scenario. So it's very easy for you to score when you win the ball back. You'll have 3 players up front. At least one guy will be guaranteed man marked most of the time too. Left mid or right mid, come back on offense because it's still important. You still want to have your left mid on come back on offense because if you get countered, you need to make that back 5 because defending with just 3 players and 2 CDMs is not good enough. And I'll explain to you why in a second as well because don't forget one of the centre mids go forward, but I'll explain that in a second. Come back on offense, get into the box, get in behind. Same thing on the opposite side, come back, get into the box, get in behind. 1 CDM, cut passing lane, stay back while attacking cover centre. This would be your defensive CDM. Someone like Kante will go here, someone like Allen, someone like Sissoko, Emre Can will be perfect in this position. So next to him, we have a more offensive player. Now in this case, I've got Renato Sanchez, someone who's got high medium work rates, high or medium or high, or any of those variations, ideally high attacking work rates. You put them on balanced. So when you go forward, you'll be attacking with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as usual, with your 3 strikers up front and stay forward, and one of your centre mids will join the attack. When you lose the ball, there's a big chance you're going to have 1 CDM left and a back 3. Left centre mid and right centre mid, or left mid and right mid, they will kind of tuck inside, come back to make the back 5. Renato Sanchez will come back, and that is how you defend. So when you have the ball, you'll be attacking with arguably 5 players up front, but a centre mid joining in late, that kind of Ramsey-esque type run, running inside the box. That's why you still want to keep long ball on so that cam or that centre mid makes runs. So even if that guy's got toe, but let's say he's got low work rates, at least with long ball, he would still get forward. So it's a much more attacking formation. This would be the formation to do if you're losing, let's say 1-0, and let's say you can't break your opponent down with a 3-5-2. Now, truthfully speaking, you give me this 3-5-2 balanced in the attacking slot, I can break down any single player in the game. But the truth is, that's my skill level. Is your skill level the same? It could be. It could be better than me. It could be lower. So this is why this system is good, because that way if you know you struggle with the game and you know your go-to player is still very, very good, but let's just say comparing it to elite players, if you know you're struggling against an elite player, he's defending very, very well, you need more players to go forward, you can always change to this formation. Generally speaking, you should be starting a game on this formation, then using this one. You can use this formation maybe if, for example, you're winning in 70-80 minutes and maybe you don't want to change the system, because let's say the system is working, your 3-5-2 is working well, you're dominating a game. You don't want to go to a more defensive formation just yet. Now, what's this 4-2-3-1 for? Well, this is basically, it's not park the bus, but it's like, you know what, I need to defend last 80 minutes. I need a back four in shape. I need my 2 CDMs in shape. This is the formation to use. Balanced 4-3, balanced 3. We've got a bit more players in the box because we still want that attacking threat. And instructions, every striker stay central, come back in offense. Cam come back in offense. All 3 cams come back in offense for that matter. Both CDMs cut passing lanes, cover center, stay back while attacking, conservative interceptions. Left back, right back, stay back while attacking, conservative interceptions, overlap as well. Now, the key behind this formation is if you're on a game, and let's say you're on a game and you're like, you know what, I am struggling. I know for myself that I'm struggling. I know that I'm. Actually, no, let's probably put this whole in perspective. Let's say you go into a game, you start with this formation, you probably use this for 90% of the game. Let's say you get above 15 wins in a weekend league, right? You might go against better players, you will struggle. This formation will still be fine to use, but let's say you're maybe 1-0 down, maybe this is not attacking enough, then you go to this formation. And these are the 2 formations you'll stay on most of the game. Now, for 5% of the time, you may use this formation. This is the formation to use where, let's say, for example, your opponent, you know he's not that good. You don't need to go ultra defensive, but you think you can still control the game with a 3-5-2, use this formation. Everyone will come back in defense. That way you have more defense stability, you win the ball back faster, and you're more solid in shape when you're defending, as opposed to these 2 where you're more attacking. And if at 80 minutes, you know my opponent's now changed to an ultra attacking formation, he now has his left mid, right mid on overlap, his left back, right back are going forward, he's got every single player running inside your box, it's do or die, then this is the formation to use. This will be the formation to completely close the game out, because no matter what anyone tells you, the 4-2-3-1 will always be the most meta formation in the game. The 3-5-2, I would say, probably the second best formation in the game, truthfully speaking. But with the 4-2-3-1, most pros will opt to use that because that's their level. They know how to make attacking runs, etc., etc., etc. Whereas most players, 3-5-2 be better off of them. So that's the whole idea behind it. So is the 4-2-3-1 the most meta formation? Yes, it's always be as I said, always be the most stable, most meta formation as usual. But a 3 variation over 3-5-2 gives you a good range. Now, don't forget, this is how I line up in game. And don't forget, in game I use dynamic tactics to change. And don't forget, I got everything on 1. That's my anti-kickoff tactic. You might have seen that already. And then I have, of course, the 4 tactics. Now, if you follow my weekly tactics, next week on Saturday, or this week, should I say on Saturday, I'm not going to have an updated for the complete 3-5-2. You're only going to see 2 3-5-2s. In fact, you're going to see these 2. So do bear that in mind. So this is a formation if you're only using the 3-5-2 the entire game, because everyone loves using it. Let's be honest, right now, compared to the 4-2-3-1, I'm definitely having the most amount of fun, and it's probably the best formation to use right now. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget, I do stream on twitch.tv/NealGuides. The link is down below in the description. 1 PM UK time, Monday to Friday. And don't forget my Patreon, my FIFA School links, and everything else is also down below as well. Thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.